Hello and welcome to Breaking Bread with Rivaj Maharaj, where nothing is off the table. For today's episode, I wanted to talk on the escalating tensions between the United States and Iran and the United States' recent moves or posturing towards the Iranian regime in the Persian Gulf. So without further ado, let's get into it. Earlier today, President Donald Trump has indicated that he has requested the redeployment of the USS Gerald R battleship from the Caribbean to the Persian Gulf. Now, this is a reversal on the movements of this aircraft carrier, as it was previously relocated to the Caribbean when the United States were embarking on their incursion into Venezuela and the subsequent extraction of Nicolas Maduro and his wife from Venezuela to the United States. So Donald Trump has now indicated that he has asked that the USS Gerald R. Ford, the battleship or the aircraft carrier, be relocated to the Persian Gulf area. We know that President Trump has come out of meetings both with the Iranians late last week as well as with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday, and that he has said, and that President Trump has said that things were looking good in talks with the Iranians. He had good talks with the Israelis as well, and that he has told Prime Minister Netanyahu that he is still interested in pursuing a deal with the Iranians regarding their nuclear policy. However, if a deal cannot be reached, then certainly military option is on the table.
Your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, has your thinking changed at all as it relates to these negotiations with Iran or the timeline with Iran?
We have to make a deal, otherwise it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a deal.
Now, the movement of this battleship to the Persian Gulf area means that it is reinforcing the presence of the USS Abraham Lincoln that is already stationed there. So the United States is amassing a massive firepower just off Iran. The conditions that are on the table by the Israelis and the United States are that the Iranian regime has to stop funding its proxies all around the world, including those like Hamas and Hezbollah. The Iranians have to come to the table regarding their nuclear program, which will need to be limited. Full disclosure on their missile capabilities and how those can be limited, as well as the manner in which the Iranian regime treats its people. Now, the Iranians have pushed back, saying that basically they will only entertain talking about the nuclear issue. So there is a bit of an impasse here. However, when reporters asked Donald Trump by when does he expect an answer from the Iranians, because Donald Trump indicated that the Iranians are very cooperative and are looking positive that a deal regarding the nuclear program in Iran can be reached.
We have to make a
timeline with Iran?
I guess over the next month.
Now, when he was pushed for a timeline, he said, well, the Iranians need to come to the table sooner rather than later, but at least within a month. Now, there's two things. The USS Gerald Ford has not yet reached its destination in the Persian Gulf. So that's going to take a bit of time. But also the Iranians have begun a 40-day observance regarding the death of all those protesters that lost their lives during the recent uprisings in Iran. So that that's like give or take a month. I suspect that the Americans are beefing up their position off the shores of Iran, because I'm fairly certain that the Americans are going to escalate to military conflagration with Iran, but they want to do this from what they perceive as being a position of strength. So the more firepower they can muster in the region, the better they feel it's going to be. Because remember, the Americans, I think, have no appetite for boots on the ground in Iran. I'm going to read a snippet from an article here in the newspaper. On Thursday, Trump warned Iran that failure to reach a deal with his administration would be very traumatic. Iran and the United States held indirect talks in Oman last week. I guess over the next month, something like that, Trump said in response to a question about his timeline for striking a deal with Iran on its nuclear program. It should happen quickly. They should agree very quickly. Yeah, so once again, I think Trump is just waiting to have all his ducks in a row before he goes in and hits Iran. Because I don't see an appetite within the United States for the current Iranian regime to still be in power, or some form of it to still be in power. I think where the issue is coming in is that the Israelis are leaning or tilting towards Reza Pahlavi, the late Shah's son, going in to try and stabilize things and form an interim government. Me personally, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the man has what it takes. He doesn't have the charisma to unite the people. You can drum up all the support on the ground. I think he just doesn't strike me as a strong enough character. For that region, when you look at the caliber of leaders that come out of that region, the Arabian Gulf area, when you look at the leaders that come out from that region, they need to be really, really strong leaders. Because to govern the populace, that's not a docile population. That is a powder keg waiting to explode. Taking into account as well all the different ethnicities that are currently resident within Iran that would be hell-bent on fighting for independence, for their little states. You need somebody to come in there that is going to be really tough and go at it hammer and tongs and not allow any dissent. It can very, very quickly escalate into civil war. You just have to look at what happened in Libya. Gaddafi was removed, the country is, it's gone. You look at what happened in Iraq. Saddam Hussein, the type of leader he was, what was put in afterwards, it's just not strong enough to hold the country together. Look at Syria, it's the same. They've taken an ex-ISIS guy and he's struggling. So I think that Trump is not too keen on getting this Pahlavi chap in, but I don't know what are the options. So, if they're thinking of going like down the route as the one they went in Venezuela, a Maduro type scenario where the vice president gets into position. I know they are talking of Pezeshkian, being more moderate and that. At the end of the day, I don't think that the people of Iran are going to be wanting to tolerate anybody from within the current regime as being those that are going to run the country in the future. I think they're looking for somebody completely different, because Iran is undergoing a massive change if there's a change in government. So I want to thank you for spending time with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, as it helps us with the algorithm and it helps our channel to grow.